This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Okay, here we go. Right. 3, 2, 1. And welcome everybody to this episode of Coming Home with John Allen. I am your humble host, John Allen. Before I introduce you to this fine gentleman here, I want to give you a couple of pieces of news. If you don't know, now you know, I'm working on a book. Before the book is even published, before it's even edited, you can listen to me reading one chapter at a time, once a week, until the book is finished. I'm going to read the whole thing to you guys as I write it, okay? If you want to be a part of that, look at the link in this description of this episode. There's a link there where you can go to, and it'll take you right to the subscription. It's only $1 a week, $4 a month. You guys have that, don't you? If you jump in on that, you're supporting my work on the book. You're supporting my work in general. I do appreciate it. You guys know I love you, and I will definitely appreciate it if you support me in this book project. Bill, your turn. Hi.
$4. I can afford $4.
Sign up, man.
I will. Definitely will.
Look, I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I'm saying this more and more often. I love doing this podcast. I love doing the radio show because it's an avenue for me to meet people who I would otherwise just wonder about. You're a guy I've been wondering about for a few years now. We have a lot of friends in common in the music world. Yeah. And I've listened to your latest recording. I got to get a sneak peek of it, so thank you for that. Beautiful music.
Thank you.
Well written. As a lyricist myself, I'm very much preoccupied by lyrics.
Yeah, me too.
And you nailed it. Well. You nailed it. You know, before I've heard your music, but this time I studied your music when you sent me this album, and it's just beautifully written. Would you say that there's a thread in these songs, or are they kind of hanging independently?
Unconscious thread.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I write what I'm thinking about. You know.
Yeah,
it comes out in all the songs.
Stream of consciousness, right?
Yeah, kind of. I try to use as few words as possible. I read a book about Hemingway, who I'm not a fan of, by the way. But when he was young, working on a newspaper, his editor told him to take all the adjectives out. Instead of saying it's very hot, say it was hot. You know. And Hemingway supposedly wrote the shortest novel in the world. It was something like For Sale. Baby shoes never used.
You know, that matches with something I read just this morning. I've read Stephen King's book On Writing several times before, but now I've picked it up again. And in one of the first few paragraphs of that book, he talks about the importance of not writing too many words. I don't know if he got that from Hemingway or what, but he praises his editors, Stephen King does, because they pull him back when he wants to talk too much. Yeah. You can't be a blabbermouth in your writing, and I'm sure it's the same in music. I know it's the same in music, and now I'm finding out that it's the same in books. You can't be a blabbermouth. You've got to be. There's something about brevity in poetry. In songwriting is poetry. You know,
I guess so. Yeah.
Using as few words as possible to put that feeling out there.
There's such a thing as descriptive writing, where they really talk about the landscape or, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're going to tell a story, you leave little spaces and people can infer different things. You know?
Yeah.
You're not just, if you tell it, if it's so pedantic, it's so like straight ahead, and you tell every detail. You say here once, that's it.
Yeah, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
You heard it. You know what happens. You know the ending. You know.
And you've been doing this music thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Is it getting old? Or are you still on fire?
No, I'm still learning.
Still learning.
I may not be on fire, but I'm still learning. I've still got a lot of this. Music never came naturally to me. Of those.
Really? It didn't?
Some people say I'm a natural, but I don't feel it. I have to work hard. And playing the bass and singing is particularly difficult. And
I got to tell you, I can't do that. I can't.
It takes practice.
Well, the bass I can. To me, it's more linear to play the bass. But when I sit with a guitar, my timing, my rhythm is off when I'm trying to sing at the same time. So I avoid that at all costs. When I record, I'll record independently of the guitar. And when I'm performing live, I'm just the vocalist. I let the musicians handle that other stuff.
Well, you could stop playing the guitar if you have another guitar player, you know.
Could do that, yeah.
Singing the guitar. But the bass, the thing about bass, sometimes it's a rhythmic thing. It's counterpoint to what you're singing.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult.
It can be, but then you just write simpler songs. You just write dumber songs, then it's easier.
this last album, we wrote the songs and I played the bass, and then I sang the words. And now I have to learn how to sing them and play them at the same time.
Well, it is a process, writing this stuff and getting it down during a recording is totally different than throwing it out there live. I think about how Geddy Lee from Rush talks about how he likens it to an athlete training for a sports performance, an athletic performance. You've got to train up to it. He can't do this thing with singing, bass, keyboards, and foot pedals. It's not just a thing that comes naturally. He has to work on it. So to hear him say that he actually has to work on it, it kind of brings the humanity of it all down to our level. And
well, the early records we did, everything we did was already performing it live before we recorded it. And that's a whole different world. And to me, that's much more natural. Guitar solos,
you think so? Yeah.
Just come, you don't have to go in the studio to overdub a guitar solo because
right, yeah.
When the guitar player's taking the solo, it changes what everyone else plays.
Yeah.
And they have that organic synergy or something.
Now, you say we. This we, is this the same band that you've had all through the years, or has it been changing?
No, it's the same band since, more or less since when we had the house band at Muddy Waters.
And that was going back to...
I think that was 7 years starting from the late 90s.
Yeah. What is that like to play with the same people?
Well...
So constant and so... solid. You guys probably get this family atmosphere. You get this thing where you just look at each other and you know what's going on when you're on the stage there.
I can hear it too. I'm so familiar with what they all play, and they're familiar with me. But the thing is, in Norway, you don't get to play that much.
Isn't that a sad thing?
Yeah.
There is such a lack of music, live music venues here. And then the bigger, more popular places, if you're just a local guy, you're not going to get in. You got the big bands, the Hellbillies, and these guys are taking those spots.
If you're lucky, you work on the weekends. But after this pandemic has just destroyed everything.
And I thought that once we got back on our feet after the pandemic, I thought people would be ready for live music.
20s or something.
I thought, and I thought the venues, I thought the owners of these venues would do something to just open it up, and it hasn't happened.
Because it's still hanging over our heads.
I wonder if the businessmen are afraid. They're afraid to invest in some new renaissance of live venues. They're afraid because we don't know if COVID's going to come back.
Yeah, well, it's not going to go away. It'll just be like
I think it's here.
Yeah. It's just another encroaching on the animal kingdom, and they're killing us. Monkeys and birds.
And now we got monkeypox.
Yeah,
the heck is that? Good God. And we have to worry about it. There's no monkeys here in Norway, but we still have to worry about it.
That's small potatoes compared to the COVID.
Yeah, it is. It is scary stuff, man. Did you catch COVID? I sure did. I got it a couple months ago, and I'm still feeling it. You're gonna notice that I'm blinking a lot, and my eyes are watering. I've had like a I don't want to say it's an eye infection because it's not an infection, but something is wrong with my eyes after COVID.
I lost my sense of smell.
My taste got out of whack.
Yeah, that too.
And probably still is.
Because it's related.
Yeah. But there's something with my eyes. They water constantly. They're a little sore actually in my eye. It's sore. I've never had sore eyes before.
You're an eyesore.
I mean, I've been an eyesore most of my life, but I've never been.
I'm from New York. I can't help. You give me a straight line like that, I gotta have it. Do
you know Michael Wexler?
Sounds familiar.
Michael Wexler. He's another American in Norway.
I think I'm friends on Facebook.
You probably are. Most people are. He's a great guy. He's also from New York.
Okay.
Jewish guy from New York. And I tell you, when I start to think that I'm pretty quick up in my head, here comes Michael, and he just catches me with these. If I leave the door open during a conversation, he's going to get me.
It's called a straight line.
It's a New York say again?
It's called a straight line.
Is that what you guys have a word for that?
Well, it's a comic thing, like say good night, Gracie. Good night, Gracie.
And Michael keeps me on my toes, so he's kind of prepared me for this. I'm glad I haven't spoken to you for all these years until now. Now I'm ready. How did you get from New York to Norway? What happened? Tell that story.
Oh, it's a long story. I first came over here, 83 or 84, I can't remember exactly, with a band from New York, country band. We used to play the Gamla Christiana in Oslo, and we do it. We come over for 2 months. We play 7 nights a week, 4 sets a night.
Is that the same venue as Gamla? They call it Gamla.
Yeah, that's the same place.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But back then it was Gamla Christiana?
No, we just call it that. It's the Gamla.
Okay.
And
I've played there once.
Oh, we live over on Urtegata. Was working for Olaf Thun, who had all the all the venues back then.
Yeah. That's right.
I did that for 7-8 years, every year. And I met a beautiful Norwegian girl.
As one does.
She said she loved me forever.
Did she say that?
I think she did. In my mind, she did.
Tell yourself
anyway,
she said that.
She came to New York. We got married. We had twin girls. And then she decided she had to go back to Norway with the kids.
Okay.
And I followed so I could be Papa,
Yeah.
That was 28 years ago.
28 years.
No, 26 years ago.
26 years ago. I've been here for 20 years. Time flies. I sure do. Why not?
I'm not nearly as smart as I look. I tried. I try every now and then, but I kind of.
I love the language, and I picked it up quick. But I pick up languages quick. I picked up Spanish right away, and used it fluently on the job. I picked up Japanese.
Whoa.
And spoke it. I never got the hang of writing. No, Marines. Stop insulting me. Marines. I picked up Japanese quick and spoke it fluently. But the thing is as I would learn a new language, the previous one fades out. So if I hear Japanese, I can understand a little bit. If I hear Spanish, I can understand a lot. But I struggle to formulate a sentence. Yeah, stop cursing at me. but I picked up Norwegian.
You live in New York,
Yeah, I got you. But I picked up Norwegian real quick. Within a couple 3 months, I was conversing with people. But people make fun of me because of my accent. I speak with a Finnmark.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it's kind of half Finnmark and half nynorsk, half Vestland. So I'm kind of a mix right there. And people give odd looks, this black guy speaking some somewhat exotic dialect. But it's what I learned. It's where we lived,
When I lived upstate New York, I went to college in New Paltz, and I meet black guys up there who speak flat English. There's no southern accent at all.
Yeah.
People would find that strange.
Yeah. Well, people always want to put others in a box, and this is what they expect, and this is what they should fall in line with. Yeah. So this process of making this album, let's go back to the music thing. First, I need to take a break. For those of you listening to this on the radio program, it's also going to be available as a podcast episode. So again, check out Coming Home with John Allen on your podcast platform of choice. You can also find it on YouTube. That's where I want you to be, YouTube. You see how pretty we are. It's one thing to listen to these soothing voices, but on YouTube you can see how pretty we are. Going to take a quick music break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. This is Coming Home with John Allen. And we're back. This is Coming Home with John Allen, and I'm speaking with Bill Troiani from New York.
You pronounced it properly, too.
Of course I did. I know my ethnicities. I tell one interesting thing. Now, where in New York did you grow up?
I was born in Manhattan. We moved to Queens when I was almost a teenager.
Pretty dynamic racial mix in your neighborhoods, or was it?
Well, up in Washington Heights, where I was born. But Queens, we moved to a part of Queens that's pretty straight, white, Jewish.
Yeah.
I had my high schools. I had lots of friends from all different.
Yeah.
I can't even say it. But
I had quite the monochrome upbringing. It's real interesting to be writing about this in my book now. But being the black kid in my class in this country, rural cornfield town was quite the experience. But I didn't really get introduced to any kind of ethnic mix, that societal mix that is common out there, but I just didn't see it until I joined the Marines. And then I started meeting people from different cultures with the, different last names that end in a vowel and things like that. So, but Norway is,
that's pretty.
Do you feel at home here?
Yeah, I actually do feel at home.
You do? Yeah.
My real name, I was Blomgren. My father was from Minnesota. He was half Swedish and half Scottish.
Oh, really?
And my mother was Jewish from Connecticut, I think.
Okay.
So I'm like the melting pot itself.
Yeah.
Scottish, Swedish, Jewish, Russian, with an Italian name.
How about that?
Huh?
That's the mix right there. Well, we look at my kids with Snoopy. I'm this black American. She's a Samisk Norwegian. And then here's these two kids we have. So they've got this.
Sounds nice.
This interesting. I think it sounds
hybrid
nice.
vigor, they call it.
Hybrid vigor. They certainly have vigor. Absolutely. They're at that age where the vigor is just running out of them.
That's a shame. That, especially, I think America's more concentrated on that who's who and who's what.
I think so.
My daughter went to a wedding in America, and some guy was talking to her. She's from Norway, right? Yeah, blah, blah. She says, I'm Irish. She said, no, you're not. You're an American. You've been there generation after generation, maybe some way back. But you go far enough back, and we're all the same.
I mean, it's nice to be in touch with your ethnic identity, but I agree with you that in the States, there's too much tribalism. Tribalism can be a positive thing. It's part of the melting pot, but it's gone over to this thing where it's an us against them. It's a toxic thing. It's we're better than you. What the heck happened? Because it wasn't like that when we left. It became this thing since we've been gone.
It was there.
Well, yeah, it's been there, but it's been under the surface.
Now.
Yeah, now it's almost a matter of pride to show what a jerk you are when it comes to race and ethnicity. Now people are proud of it.
If you section off your group and you like say the kosher laws, right? We don't eat pigs, right? But everyone else in the world was eating pigs, right? And mainly the reason for it is that you keep your cohesion in your group. In Switzerland, for example, they say, I would never let my daughter marry someone from that mountain.
Right. You know
what I mean? So it's very natural, and it's being exploited, and they're making money, Well,
I think it's very much being exploited. I look at some of these politicians who you can tell they're intelligent people. They're educated. And they know what's right and wrong. They've got a moral compass, but they're disregarding all of that in the interest. Yeah, they're hypocrites, and they're doing it all in the interest of their own advancement, whether it's political advancement or financial. Bill Troiani is doing this is a New York thing,
it's
isn't
almost
it?
the same thing, financial and political.
Well, now it is. Now it is, yeah.
That's one thing about Norway that I really admire. There's no money in politics.
Say it. I love it.
You get elected in America, you immediately have to start fundraising for the next election, because when that time comes, you have to do TV commercials, and the price of TV commercials goes up the roof. It
would change the very fabric of America if they took money out of politics. Make the lobbyist thing, if not illegal, drastically reduce the influence of it, and just take the fundraising crap out of it.
Citizens United.
Well, there you go.
I like to see a corporation go to jail.
But how do you feel? Let me ask you this. How do you feel? What does the current social and political situation back home do to you? A lot of people have talked about this before on my program, where and I'm one of those people who, as an American, and I still have my citizenship. I'm still an American, and it has done something to me to see all of the ugliness, all the vitriol, all of the dysfunction back there. It's this feeling of helplessness where I am ultra aware of every little thing that happens, and this desire, this pull to activism, to at least say something about it, is very strong. It's pulling me. And a lot of people feel this, a lot of other Americans, American expats, Americans in Norway feel that as well. Can you talk about that in your case?
Well, I have friends of mine who were very apolitical on purpose, and now they're not anymore. Now they have to say something. It's just outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, I really feel like one side is trying to tell the truth. The other side's just making stuff up and lying.
Let's just say it like it is. Now, Democrats, is there corruption in the Democratic Party? Of course.
There's always corruption.
But it's not flaunted in the way that it is in the Republican Party. Are there evil doings behind the scenes among Democrats? Of course there are. That's politics.
It's people.
But again, it's not flaunted. It's not the modus operandi of the party as it is with the Republicans. I don't know
if it's flaunted so much as they just don't. They don't say it. They say things in such a way that they just try and cover it up. It's don't look at the man behind the curtain. From Wizard of Oz. Right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the Republican Party appears to be playing everybody for a fool. They think everybody is stupid. Because
I wouldn't generalize about the Republican Party. Parts of the.
Well, let's say the leading faction. Let's just say it like it is. I don't want to say it is like this, but this is what I feel. My observation is that the MAGA Republicans, and I think President Biden was good to separate the two things. The MAGA Republicans are the driving force of the Republican Party right now. Now that is not to say that every Republican is a MAGA Republican.
No, they can't lose that base. They'll get nothing.
Exactly. So I think there is a difference. There's a line in between MAGA Republicans and the Republican Party. Unfortunately, those who are not MAGA Republicans are way too quiet. They see what is wrong. They see the damage, and they're too silent. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly right. I'm waiting for the Joseph Welch moment, like, have you no decency at long last, sir?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to happen.
We need that. I would love to see somebody like, Mitt Romney has kind of done that from time to time, softly.
He's too squeaky for me.
Yeah, so like I say, softly.
The way he makes his money.
He tries to balance that thing. He wants to appease enough MAGA Republicans, but he also wants to look like a good guy. And he probably is a good guy at heart, but he doesn't have the balls to stand up and do what's right. But I want to see that moment. I want to see that moment from somebody like Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And it's never going to happen. But
it did happen on January 6th. He came
and then
out
what was
it?
The next day, the very next day, he was back in line.
He'll never say it again.
So it's going to, and I think it's going to take somebody like Mitch McConnell to call out the MAGA Republicans. But as you say, and as I agree with, it's never going to happen. And that's why it's going to be a long time before.
It has to slowly fade away. It's going to take generations.
I was just going to say that's going to be a long, slow fade.
I was just reading about who's that 4-star general or 3-star general that Trump had to let go. What was his name?
Which
Flynn.
one? There's a few of them. Flynn, yeah.
He's going around the country now doing these like ultra QAnon,
yes,
that's Christian nationalism thing. And that's it's all out. It's all straight out there.
And that's extra frightening because this was a guy high up in the military who had a lot of influence and a lot of people under him that had to follow his orders.
Yeah.
So now my thought has been, what has this guy done before that we don't know about yet? And what can he do in the future? Does he still have the influence and the power that he once had to where he can actually organize people and put them to action?
He's going to do that. Some people will follow him, but
he believes martial law should have been in place for January 6th.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So does he have the power to make something like that happen?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think Trump didn't have the power to do that because there's still reasonable people around. More people are reasonable than are going to believe in the QAnon stuff.
Yeah. And again,
pedophile ring.
Yeah,
in the
Pizzagate,
basement of Comet Pizza, right? There's no basement.
And again, a majority of the Republican Party is not of that MAGA faction, but again, they're way too silent.
They don't like they don't like the way he acts, but they like what he does. His policies. What policies? When he ran in 220, there was no platform. Republican Party had no platform. First time in history, I think. Yeah,
they just want to shout about these crazy conspiracy theories, but that's not a platform.
No, whatever Trump says is our platform.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to curse on the radio?
You can curse. You can curse. F-bombs are allowed. No censorship here.
Yeah, it's just it's insane.
It is insane. Have you lost any friends or contact with family because of all this stuff going on?
There's a faction of my family that in Staten Island that are voted for Trump, but they're like cousins and stuff like that. And
now, did they vote for Trump because they like his economic policies, or did they vote for Trump because they believe this ugliness that he's pushing?
I never asked.
Really?
Because I just keep peace in the family.
Yeah, bring that mic in a little closer to you.
They know my views, but I'm not there that much anymore because of the pandemic and everything.
When's the last time you were home?
Well, I was there in December. My funeral. My sister died. And I was there
I'm sorry.
I was there 2 years ago, right after the pandemic started, because my nephew died, her son. So it's been.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah. That's rough, man. That took me right immediately to this thing that I've been feeling that it's. I feel like somebody important. I'm going to lose them back in the States, and I won't be able to get back.
But I didn't have any friends. I had one guy I had a block who was like an acquaintance. But most of my friends, we kind of agree about all this stuff.
Yeah.
People in New York knew that Trump was an idiot.
I just saw it was a long segment on MSNBC where they were talking to a bunch of businessmen, union representatives, and mom and pop contractors.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
From New York, and they had been
the pianos in Atlantic City.
Yes, among other things, and it's just. This is the man that these people elected president. And look what he did to these average people. Look what he did to them.
Look what his like building up his assets to get a loan and knocking them down so he doesn't have to pay too much tax on it. You know, I mean, he buried his wife on the golf course. Now the golf course is going to be a cemetery. I don't know if he did it on purpose. And a cemetery, has certain more rights.
I don't know the details, but there are a lot of tax ins and outs when it comes to using that golf course as a cemetery. I'm just looking at the.
I'm not saying that he's doing anything wrong.
I'm just looking at the tastefulness or the lack of tastefulness in that whole thing. To bury his, I don't want to turn this into a Trump bashing. Let's just sum it up by saying we bash Trump freely. We don't want to spend the whole episode on it. Listen, when we come back, I want to talk some more about your music. I want to take a little music break right here. This is Coming Home with John Allen. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. And we're back now. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Coming Home with John Allen. Remember, this is on the radio station, of course, if that's where you're listening. But you can also listen to the entire conversation as a podcast episode. And you can find that at the podcast platform of your choice, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. But we want you on YouTube. See how cute we are? This is where we want you to be, watching us on YouTube.
I do not photograph well.
Sure he does. But you see, it's the lighting. The lighting brings out the good, okay? Listen, Bill.
Yeah.
This album, it's a little different. It's a little different from the music that you've done before.
It's quite a departure from everything I've done. I'm a little nervous.
How so?
I'm a little nervous about it because it's so different than it's a lot of it. I'm not even sure you could put in the R&B blues, old-fashioned R&B blues kind of category. It started with it's the pandemic album is what it is because I have a good friend in California, San Jose, Kid Anderson. He has a studio there. He's Norwegian. He has a studio. He records a lot of different people, a lot of blues artists. His band keeps winning the awards and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was going to do this guy Latimer had a couple of hits in the 70s. Let's straighten it out. Let's straighten it out.
Yeah.
He was going to make a record.
Wow.
And the kid was going to record him. And the kid called me and said, "Can you write? Do you have a song for him?" I said, "Well, I'll think about it." So I listened to his big hit, and I copied it a little bit, and I wrote a song about it. And the it was just me and the bass. So I went to my friend Kim Bergseth, who has a studio over at the film park in Yar, and I asked him if he'd help me. And he said, "Yeah, sure." So we put drums on there, drum machine.
Yeah.
He played guitar, we expanded the song, and we had it already. I sent it to the kid. And then the pandemic hit and everything was off. And after a few weeks, Kim said, "That was fun. Let's write some songs together." I said, "Sure." So I went over. There's nothing else to do. There's no gigs.
Right.
That's all I do. I don't have a job.
Right.
So we started writing these songs, and it's strange the way we wrote them because he's a whiz on the computer, the Pro Tools kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's very, very good at it. Very fast, and he did some work with Amon Morwood that I really admired. And the albums, one of the albums Amon put out, and it's just these little. I write songs, tend to be like blues, R&B, a little country maybe, and I stick to standard arrangements. It doesn't occur to me to do all these little nice touches.
Take those little side steps.
Yeah. He's real good at that. Yeah. So this album has a lot of that on it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, when I played the first cut for my girlfriend Ellen, her comment was, "Well,
hi Ellen."
I said hi for you. Her first comment was, "Well, that's the end of the Billy T band."
Oh, really? Because it was that different.
And now she likes it.
Yeah.
But all the songs are like Kim and I were going to writing songs. Maybe we'd try and pitch them to somebody.
Yeah.
We said, "What would this guy like when we write songs?" And then we had all these songs, and we ran at the flagpole. Nobody saluted. So.
But that's when you record them yourself into your own project, right? Yeah.
And we had to get my band in there and overdub stuff,
The Billy T Band.
Yeah, that's a stupid name. We're stuck with
it fits. I can't say it without smiling.
Yeah, okay.
Billy T, I smile every time I say it. So there's that.
It's so silly.
It's not the most imaginative, but it brings a smile. So
it comes from the when we had the house band at Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters, yeah.
It was just simple.
What is your preference? Writing for your own projects, writing for others?
Well, I like my own projects better, but I mean I do write for others and with others. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of a lot of stuff I've done. When I moved to Norway, I really hadn't written any songs in years.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't doing it, but I kind of found myself as the band leader and doing all the singing.
I wonder if it's because I experienced something similar. I wonder if it's that whole thing of digging up your roots and replanting yourself here in Norway. You see things different. I saw things different. I saw so many opportunities because it was, I had always been a little bit of a writer, poet, tinkering with words and stuff. But I really dove into it and started writing a lot for other artists here once I came here because it's part of that replanting process. Am I right? Did you feel something like that? It's just your new country, new opportunity? No?
I didn't really feel that, but I was kind of, necessity was the mother,
Necessity.
I had to, we were putting out a record. I had to write something original.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This last album is all original. The first one. Usually one before that had one cover. And the first one was, I think I wrote 2 or 3 songs, and the rest were all covers. We have, this is our 5th album coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 Spellemannspris.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. That's the Norwegian equivalent of the Grammys, the Spellemannpris.
Speaking of which, Kid Anderson was recording for this guy, Frankie Bay, and he did one of my songs, and the album got nominated for a Grammy.
Did it really?
American Grammy. It didn't win.
But just to be in the nomination process, man, that's pretty cool.
And then when he passed away shortly after that, they used it at his funeral. And at the memorial show, they did it for him, my song. Well, me and Håkan Hoyer wrote it.
Would you say that is your, I don't know,
the high point of my career?
The high point of your collaboration with writing for others. Would you say that's...
Well, it's pretty good. I don't really think about that much, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Never would have thought that I'd get anywhere close to the Grammys.
I bet if you were to take the time, engage in some introspection, and just think through your music career, you would have several moments where you're literally reminding yourself about how good you are.
I try to stay away from that.
Why not?
It's not for me to say, really. I don't want. I know.
But aren't you allowed to feel? Is an artist not allowed to feel good about their art?
I feel good about myself, but I'm not going to walk around telling everybody how great I am.
No.
I know people.
But again, this is introspection. This is your own little inner journey, inner conversation with yourself about your.
But see, I know all my shortcomings as well.
Sure.
And I every time I play, I make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've been a sideman all my life, bass player. And I didn't even start singing harmony until I moved here.
Really?
Yeah, I was just playing the bass.
Man, I'm really digging your vocals on this album.
Thank you.
What's your favorite song on this album?
Oh, I don't know.
No favorite?
Well, there's a country song in there called If I Could Only See. I like that one. Ellen likes that one. Ellen likes the River Catching Fire.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The new single is completely different than anything I've done.
Talk about
High
that.
Paradise.
I love that song. Yeah. But I've been kind of flipping back and forth. At the moment, that's my favorite song on the album. I'm going to change my mind the next time I listen to everything. But talk about that song.
Well,
you notice I didn't ask you, where did the idea come from? That's boring.
Kim came up with the High Paradise phrase. And gave me a couple of lines, and then I fleshed it all out. But
yeah.
As we wrote it, I kind of came up with a meaning. The song started having a little meaning to me. So now I know what I was intending to say.
Yeah.
But it didn't start that way at all. It evolved as we wrote it.
How often is it an evolution process, and how often is it that lightning from heaven?
Well, very rarely is that lightning from heaven, but usually it's an evolution. I have to work hard. Sometimes, a few times in my life, a song just came to me, bang, like that.
Well, there's the lightning from heaven.
Yeah. But that's not the usual. Sometimes I dream it. I wake up and there it is.
Isn't that wonderful? Do you have a home studio?
Not really, no.
Okay. Well, do you have the opportunity to, if you wanted to, you could wake up from that dream and go somewhere in your house and get it get a little framework recorded? You can do that.
I just write down the words and I figure it out later.
Oh gosh, I can't do that. I'll lose it if I don't get over there in that little corner over there in my recording section. I'm gonna lose it.
But it changes, I can write something. That song that was close to a Grammy.
Yeah.
Right. I wrote it and I put it to this like kind of funky beat and everything like that. And Ellen liked the song from the beginning. Then when she heard what I did, she said, "What'd you do to my song?" So I wrote other words for that, and I just did it simple in the studio because it was too late.
Yeah.
All the musicians had dissipated, and we didn't have time to bring the drums in and everything like that.
Yeah.
We just did it like a little acoustic thing.
It sounds like you share your songs in the writing process, that you share them with Ellen.
Oh yeah,
you do that, huh?
She's my go-to critic.
Yeah,
she's got very good taste, and she's a good musician too. She won't admit it, but she plays the bass. She has great timing.
Really,
and tone. Timing and tone is like
that's
everything on the bass.
Absolutely, and not everyone has it. So if she's got that, well, good for you, Ellen. It's no, I ask about how you share your songs with her before they're finished. I can't do that with Snoopy.
It's not like constant, like when I get something close and I like it, I play it for her. And she doesn't.
Now that I'll do, yeah.
She doesn't always comment on it right away,
Yeah, but is she a musician, or is she just good at playing the bass? Has she been in bands?
Guitar. No, she's not a musician like that, but she's very musical. She sings, she plays guitar, she plays saxophone to a certain extent.
Wow, how about that? And, could you imagine having her in as a collaborator, background vocalist?
I was just reminded of something the other day. I had a gig with one of the bands I play with, and I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And it was 2 or 3 gigs. I forget. She played the bass.
Really?
She sat down and woodshedded all the songs.
How cool is that?
Went out and played the bass, and she was good.
Now, Snoopy is not a musician. She's a beautiful person. You're going to meet her afterwards. She's beautiful, and she has her thing that she does, but she is not musical at all. And I tell her that she should hope that, and I love her dearly, but I say this, that she should hope that they don't invent a time machine, because if I can go back to 1974 and hook up with Joni Mitchell, I'm going. The only thing missing with Snoopy is that thing of her being musical, so that she and I can sit down and sing and play the guitar together.
There's other things in life.
So
music, man.
Well, lucky for her, there's no time machines. So Joni Mitchell.
Remember that album Blue that Joni Mitchell did?
Oh man, it's just golden. I that's got to be in my top 5 albums of all time.
Yeah.
Top 5 albums of all time.
I've listened to it 1,000 times.
Just pure poetry. Every single song. There's no throwaway song on that. That's an album, and I'm not ashamed to say it. There's some songs on there when they come on.
Yeah,
tears.
I know what
tears will come.
Puts me right back in that time.
Yeah. I wasn't around. Oh, well, I was around. I was just a kid back in those times. But that album and those songs take me back to that time when I first started discovering Joni's music and stuff. And that's what music does. It takes us places,
Good music.
People are going to say that about you, about this album.
Well, you flatter me.
Well,
flattery will get you everywhere.
It's for the ratings. It's for the ratings for the show, okay? Listen, we have to take another break. I'm overdue for a break here, but see, that's what happens with good conversation. We'll be right back with Bill.
I got plenty of those.
And we're back, everybody, joking with Bill Troiani. He's a musician. Maybe he needs to try a career in stand-up comedy. He's giving me some good one-liners here, but that's that New York thing.
Henny Youngman.
How about that? Okay, listen. You've been doing this music thing. You want to tell people how old you are?
I'm 72.
72 years old, and you've just done an album that is fresher, more exciting, more dynamic than anything you've ever done before. From my humble opinion.
I think the interviews we have enough now. You can turn off the recording.
How does that make you? I mean, this is genuine feedback, and I'm sure you've heard similar feedback from other people who have heard the album. You have your single out. Your single called
High Paradise.
So you're getting feedback already. What's that doing to you?
Well, I don't get that much. Some people say they like it, but I'm apprehensive about the whole album because it's so different.
It is different.
It's such a departure from everything I've ever done. I'm worried.
But isn't that kind of fun though? Isn't that kind of exciting?
Yeah. I mean, I'm 72. I don't really care. It's going to be.
Yeah, but you do. Come on now.
I know I care, but
you do.
I'm proud of what we did,
Yeah.
but I listen to it and I hear, it's always, you listen to your stuff and you hear the things you would have changed. It's too late to change.
Sure.
Like Hawken, my friend Hawken Hoyt in the band, he says, you never finish an album, you just stop working on it.
But do you differentiate between the lyrics and the music? Because when I write my lyrics, sometimes, in fact, most often there are 0 edits. I write what I write and there it is, and I love it. I'm very satisfied with it. But that music thing is what I am never satisfied with.
Well,
there's always a different note I could have played. There's always, I hear a little mistake on the guitar.
But they go hand in hand, like you get to a minor chord and you get to that poignant point in the lyrics,
Well, yeah,
Stuff like that,
and that's the craft of songwriting, making the lyrics match those musical movements. But do you differentiate when it comes to how often are you totally satisfied with your lyrics? You're probably never satisfied.
Never.
Really, never with that.
Not yet.
To
But
me,
I'm very self-critical, and I think that's good. I don't want to ever sit back and say, "Oh, I have it now." It's done.
in that creative process, are you more satisfied with your abilities in songwriting, or are you more satisfied with your abilities in the musical aspect?
It was such a tough questions, man.
Hey, I like watching you sweat. That's what you get when you see. This guy was effing with me when we first started with his New York humor and stuff. So now there's a payback. I want to make him sweat a little bit.
Let me say that.
Because to me, it's a very distinct. It's songwriting is a process, but within that process are two distinctly different processes, and that is the songwriting and the music writing. For me, the lyric writing and the music writing, and for me, the lyric writing is easy as pie. I mean, that's
the hardest part for me.
Oh gosh, to me that's the easiest.
And because every word is important, and
true. Yeah.
And I listen to guys like Bob Dylan who take a what do you call an Utrecht in America, like a saying, a phrase that everyone knows to catch a cold.
Yeah.
Like Shakespeare came up with it. You know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he said it first. It's just things like that, and he'll turn them around some way to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah.
And I always look for words that rhyme in a consonant way, or the first syllable rhymes. Stuff. I try to get I don't want to do moon, June, spoon. I'll never do that. So I try and find. And some people say it doesn't rhyme, but it does rhyme. Or if it doesn't rhyme, it passes over in a smooth way.
Yeah. To me, rhyming is you can be a basic songwriter and do the June, spoon, moon type of thing. Or you can do, and I see this a lot in older music, where you have that rhyming that doesn't necessarily rhyme in the traditional sense, but yes, it has a flow.
Standards.
But it has a flow, and rhyming has to be a flow. There has to be a flow to it in order for it to be good. Songwriting.
What's that girl who's been very popular? Nothing rhymes. She writes these songs.
Is that?
I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name because I'm so bad at this stuff. I barely listen to radio, but my friend Kim asked me once to write a song in her style.
Yeah.
So I listened to her music. There was no rhymes at all. It's a one name woman always with a black dress. She lost a lot of weight the last couple of years. I forget.
Oh, yeah, Adele.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, Adele. Yes, I listened to some of her songs and I my gosh, that didn't rhyme at all. It didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to pull up some of her songs. I recognize her talent, but I wouldn't say I'm an Adele fan. But yes, pulling up what I can remember of her songs, there's very little rhyming, and yet the lyrics work. It tells a story, and there's a feeling that evolves from it. It has that flow. Yeah.
See, I never listened to the popular radio because
I think I'm finished. That's why I started my radio station, because modern radio just doesn't do it for me, and I think it's not doing it for a lot of other people. There's no personality to it. If you turn on a radio station now at 2:00 in the afternoon, and then you come back at 6:00 in the afternoon, it's the same songs in the same order. There is. This is why I fell in love with radio, because I feel that when it's done correctly, it's another form of artistic expression.
Oh, yeah.
When I would sit down, I had a 2-hour program on a local or a regional FM station here in Norway. And when I would sit down and work out that playlist and actually put thought and feeling and feel emotions based upon the songs that I played, and then my commentary in between songs. There is feeling and meaning between that, and I'm not hearing that in radio stations these days. So that's why I start my own. I want to put that back. I want to put that and make it available to people who miss the emotion, the art of radio, because I think it's missing today.
There's so much good music out there, and so many different styles. I mean, you could play Uncle Dave Macon and then bring in Frank Sinatra.
Exactly. And now
from the Capitol years, which are the only things that count with Frank Sinatra, take that to.
And now it's and now it's this corporate thing where you pay to be heard. And I don't want people to have to pay to be heard.
Remember what happened to Alan Freed? Payola scandal in the 50s.
Oh, see, now that.
You don't know about that?
No.
Oh, he was one of the greatest DJs. I think he came out from Ohio.
Okay.
He came to New York.
Cleveland, of course. Yes, he came out of,
And he got brought down by the Payola scandal, where they were taking money from the record distributors to play certain records.
Yeah. And that's happening today.
But now it's legal. Yeah.
And there's something wrong with that.
Citizens United.
Because exactly, say it again, Citizens United. But that system is not what people want to hear. That's what people in the corporate sphere want to get paid for. And that's a totally different thing. There's no art in that.
People don't always know what they want to hear until they hear it.
Well, that's what the corporate, the suits and ties are counting on, that they're going to just tell people what they want to hear.
All the great music from the past,
Well, it would be different if the rulers of the music world, the rulers of the radio world, it would be different if they were musicians themselves, but they're not. They're lawyers. What does a lawyer, a lawyer can be a great musician with a good ear, but what their job is to make money for themselves and others. And there's no place for that in the art of music.
My friend Kim gave me a book to read. What they don't want you to know about the music business.
Is it true? Is it stuff you didn't want to know?
No, I know. It's stuff I wanted to know, but it's what they don't want you to know.
I think I've read that. I bet you if you look close enough, you'd find that on my bookshelf. I think I've read that before. Yeah.
It's important stuff.
Well, it's
that's almost an oxymoron in the music industry.
Well, but I think people are finding their way around it. I'm not sure how much.
Well, they almost did. Remember all the independent bands came up the last 10 years, know?
Yeah, and you look at what I'm doing. I don't need, I can make my music anytime I want. I can distribute it anytime I want. You can do the same.
Take the money out of the music industry.
Huh?
Take the money out of politics. Take the money out of
the music industry. Well, don't take it out, but move it to the artist. If you do the work, if you create the art, you should have the majority of the benefits of that, but as it stands today, that's not the case. It's
I
the
refuse
record companies.
to subscribe to Spotify.
Do you? I grind my teeth every time I post a new podcast episode because my podcast is distributed on Spotify. But I'm very much aware of how unfair it is, both to podcasters, but especially to musicians. It's extremely unfair. All of the work, and I have my 4 singles are available on Spotify as well. I'll never see a dime of that money. I'm sure
my music's on there too.
Yeah, and we'll never see a dime, we may see a dime.
A dime, yeah. It's like there's a joke, like a guitar player comes running in and he goes, "We just made 5 million hits on Spotify," and they go, "That's great. What are we going to do?" He says, "Well, we got to figure out how to split $19 between 3 people."
It's and that is the reality of it. We're making a joke about it, but that is the reality of it. So if you didn't know, now you know. These musicians, these artists who have sometimes millions, sometimes tens of millions of downloads or listens on Spotify, iTunes, and whatnot, they're not making the money.
And you can count. I'm sure you can count my hits in the hundreds. Just that much.
Yeah. Sad. It shouldn't be that way.
But I got to say, we brought it on ourselves. I know when I was I joined some wedding band and I had to go learn all the songs. So I couldn't afford to buy all the albums or the tapes. So they sent me to a guy who under the table sold me a cassette of all the songs because that was completely illegal. And I had no compunction about downloading songs off the radio and recording them for myself, So we did. Remember Napster? That started
Napster. The whole thing. That's when it all started. That's when, I grew up with my tape recorder and recording straight from the radio. But that was for myself. I wasn't making any money off of it. And then here comes Napster, and then people found out how to effectively monetize that, and that was the beginning of the downfall for people who create art.
No one buys CDs anymore.
No. You going to print up any for promo purposes?
We print up CDs, we'll print up LPs, and but basically, sometimes we just give them away.
I got to look at you handed me an album and a couple of CDs. I didn't even really look at it.
I had you an LP from the last CD, the fourth CD we put out.
Okay.
And then a couple of CDs from friends I work with.
Okay.
And I write songs with, and I'm in their band. And in the other band, I have the Bills with Bill Booth.
Who'd you have the most fun with among Norwegian artists that you've worked with?
Wow. I've worked with a lot of them.
Or maybe not the most fun, but just someone who sticks out in your mind.
Well, you got it. I was 72 years old. My memory ain't what it used to be. But, I have there's a thing called aphantasia. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
I can't close my eyes and see something like most people can.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
I take it for granted because that's what I do.
I took it for granted that no one did.
Lift my head, close my eyes, and think it through, find the picture, and then talk. Yeah.
I thought no one could do that. It never occurred to me. My daughters were talking about it a few months ago, and they told me about it. I didn't believe them. I thought they were pulling my leg. So they showed me a video about it and everything.
Yeah. Wow.
But it also affects your memory of personal things and faces. I have trouble with faces. If I haven't seen someone in a long time, and they come out and say, "Hi, Bill." I was in the elevator in Bergen at some blues festival, and a really good friend of mine, Arthur Nielsen, plays with Shamika Copeland. He's also a bass player. He took over a lot of my gigs when I left New York. Comes walking into the elevator. He goes, "Hi, Bill." I had no idea who it was. And I did the thing I always do, like, "Oh, yeah, hi." Pretending.
You know what saves me in those
You
situations?
tell your wife to introduce herself.
There you go. Or I'll just say, yeah, this is my wife,
And
Snoopy.
she goes, "What's your name?"
Exactly.
I know that trick.
She'll say, these women, man, they prop us up in so many ways.
Richard Nixon used to have a guy walking around behind him with a little book.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, this guy's name is this, his wife, his kids, and they go up there, "Hi, how's your wife, blah, 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 how's your kid?" And the guy would go, "Oh, my God, Nixon remembers everything."
I never thought I'd get inspiration for Richard Nixon, but there we go. I got to get somebody to follow me with a notebook.
And how about the Roman heroes when they go through the triumphal procession? They have a guy standing behind them with slave whispering, "You're going to die."
Yeah. So no one name comes to mind. No one person comes to mind.
I mean, I've worked with Vidar Busk a lot. I worked a little bit with Reisrud.
Can you try
I sub with a lot of Norwegian bands. I just last weekend played this guy named Fred. He called himself Fat Fred. Not anymore, but he's quite an artist. He jumps around. He really gets people going. I mean, and there's so many guitar players I know. There's some great musicians in this country, especially guitar players for some reason.
Absolutely.
Armin Morrud.
Oh, yeah.
He's on
Knut Reisrud. I saw him, I'm talking like literally weeks after I moved here to Norway in 2002. I saw him on some NRK program. And he was playing an acoustic guitar. Was it a 12-string maybe? And he was playing this beautiful, technically difficult folk music. He wasn't singing. He was just playing. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is one of the best acoustic guitar presentations I've ever seen. Fast forward to just a few weeks after that, and he was on another program just playing this killer lightning blues. That guy is quite the prolific guitarist right there. He's one of the most versatile guitarists in Norway.
And Kid Anderson, who was down in California, he was in the house band for a while, and we really I've known him a long, long time. He can play anything. It's amazing, and he can. And years ago, I've told people the story. Years ago, my mother died. I was here, and they used to have a classical music station in Oslo, and I turned it on. This beautiful melody came on. It made me cry,
Yeah.
And next time I saw him, I hummed the melody to him. And the next day he shows up with it, hands me a CD. It was Haydn. He says it's track number 4. I went, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And he always, we're talking, he says, yeah, before he plays something, he knows what he's going to play before he plays it.
Yeah.
He's already worked it out.
Well, there's some of those people who just have that in them. One person who comes to mind for me is Lasse Hafreager. You're friends with him on social media. Lasse Hafreager, prior keyboardist for Hellbillies.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
I just spoke to Lasse yesterday. He's on his way to Italy. He and his lady are taking a driving trip to Italy.
Nice.
Lasse is, and I met him when he came into the Remme Brothers band. I love those guys. Kato Christensen, backup vocalist and drummer for Jonas Fjeld. Yeah. Kato's the lead vocalist in the Remme Brothers band. My good friend and brother Henning Remme. If you're watching, Henning, I love you. Haven't seen you in a while, but I still love you. And then Lasse came into that band a couple years after they started and just lifted this band that was already good, playing blues rock, like 70s blues rock.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Yeah.
Saying, you are? Okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, I've written...
Oh, really?
Most of their
lyrics. I'll have to look again.
On their first album, all the lyrics are mine. Right. On the second album, I think there's 11 songs and 6 of them written by me. I'm going
to pull it up. I'm going to make some notes. I'll send them to you.
Yeah, do that. I'm back in school.
No.
No, but when Lasse joined that band, he took a band, the band that was already good, and lifted it up to a whole new level. That man has music in his very soul. He's one of those people who can do things like that. There's no thought process really. It's just in him, and he sits at the keyboard, or he picks up the guitar, or he'll come with suggestions for harmony and vocals, and it's golden from the get-go. Doesn't have to work on it.
I meet people like that, I get really annoyed with myself.
Well, I tell you, it's a humbling experience, and it's when I get to sit next to Lasse like I have for hours, through the mixing process, through the writing process. I'm writing an album with him and another artist. It's going to be like a trio. This is kind of a half secret, but when it comes out, believe me, I'm going to promote the heck out of it because I'm so proud of it, especially to work that close with Lasse. But Lasse's been my friend for 15 years, and it's inspiring. Yes, it's frustrating. How does he do that? But it inspires me to go back and keep working on what I'm doing. I'm 53 years old, and I'm far from the musician that I plan on being.
I thought you were like 30 or something.
Well, that whole thing about black not cracking and all that stuff. Black, it's true.
Black doesn't.
It's true. You knew that, though.
Well, yeah. I never smoked a cigarette in my life, so I think that has a lot to do with how your face ends up.
I think so. You don't look 70-something. Two. You don't look 72. My mother's turning 73 in a couple of days.
Oh. I could be your father.
So, Dad, oh my God, wouldn't that be some shit if we did a gene test and all of a sudden...
Oh, man. This happens in my family.
Oh, boy. No, it's people like Lasse, people who have that, and I'm fortunate. I'm not saying I suck, but more often than not, I'm working with musicians who are much better at it than I am.
That's how you get good.
So it's a constant learning process. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think I've got the lyrics thing pretty much down. It's that music side.
I haven't really heard any of your lyrics, so I'm going to have to go home and
check out.
I'll check out the Remme Brothers first.
Do that, and I'll send you my 4 singles, which is a totally different music genre.
I heard your stuff, and I remember I recommended to you.
That's right. Yeah.
Just try and make them into a country song.
That's right. You did. Yeah. And then I'll have to send you U.S.A Remme's solo album, country album. I wrote country. Right. I got to meet Elliot Mazer, Neil Young's producer. Harvest.
Yeah.
Produced Neil Young's Harvest. Produced Janis Joplin. I think he went on to produce a Kiss record also.
Really?
Linda Ronstadt. I got to sit next to Elliot. I got to sit alone with Elliot Mazer.
I wouldn't even know who he was.
Oh my God! I've been a Neil Young fan. I can remember being like 2-3 years old and hearing my father playing After the Gold Rush with that French horn. Yeah. So I've been a Neil Young fan since back then, and I remember looking on the back of the albums and just loving to read it. And produced by Elliot Mazer. So that name has been in my head since I was, pre-kindergarten. And then what we did was after we put out the first release of U.S.A.'s country album. Since then, we did a remix. I'm sorry, a remaster, and put it out again. But that first mix, when we put it out, we sent it to Elliot. Just
what's his name?
Elliot Mazer. Check him out. M-A-Z-U-R.
You are okay. Oh, yeah,
check him out.
I've seen that name.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely have. Absolutely. Quadraphonic Studios in Nashville. That's his. Check him out. But anyway,
I go back to Bradley's Quasar in Nashville.
There you go.
That's what I think of.
Yeah. No, but to actually, this guy who was a hero, and this is the power of music, and this is what music has done for me, is put me in situations like that, to sit for 2 hours alone in a car driving through the Norwegian countryside with Elliot Mazer. Why is that happening? You know, but it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for music. So those are the kind of thoughts, experiences I'm trying to pull out of you, but you and your 72-year-old mind can't.
But I don't have anything like that. Everything for me is localized, like people I'm with and stuff like that. I can go through all the bands I've been in, what I can remember.
Yeah. But you've been, you break musical bread with some well-known Norwegian artists. Yeah. It's impressive. You have an impressive career.
I've been fired from some of the best bands in this country.
And proud of it. No, but you have quite the storied career. You have quite the dynamic.
I just went to see a Kiss show for the first time in June.
How was it?
Oh, you don't know the story?
No.
Okay. My first band when I was a kid was called the Post-War Baby Boom Blues Band, or Post-War Baby Boom Band, right? Because we were all from Post-War Baby Boom.
Yeah.
I was born in 1949. And we had a guitar player, a guy named Stanley Eisen. And when the band broke up, he went off and formed Kiss. He's Paul Stanley.
That's right.
With the star in his eye.
With the star.
And last February, he called me out of the blue.
Paul Stanley called you out of the blue?
Yeah. I was laying down, I was sleeping, and he called me, and we were talking. It's like we were back in the basement rehearsing. It's like,
Yeah.
And then he told me he's doing their final tour. They're going to be in Gothenburg. And I said, I'd like to come down there. He said, yeah. And I said, I work with these guitar players. They're all tremendous Kiss fans. I didn't tell him I had never really heard any of his music.
No, you don't say that when you're talking to Paul Stanley. No.
I mean, I had learned a couple of songs a couple of years ago for a party and whatever. But we went down there. And he said, bring him along. So me, the three guitar players, and Ellen went down to the Kiss show. Watched the whole show, went backstage, talked to Paul. He was so nice, so gracious.
Wow, how cool is that?
We got photos,
How cool is that?
It's 60 years, 55 years since we've seen each other.
Wow.
Or spoken to each other.
Now, there's a heck of a story right there with that band. Everything they've been through, everything they've accomplished.
I didn't know any of this.
The genius of their branding.
Yeah, I didn't know much about it. So these three, my friend Kim, Joachim, and Håkan were the three guitar players.
Yeah.
And they would tell me all the stories.
Yeah.
Like the first 4 years, first 4 albums, I didn't make any money at all.
Right.
I didn't know that.
No, so Kiss, that takes me right back to my upbringing out there in the cornfields of Norton, Ohio. Everybody was into Kiss back then. I think it's pretty cool. Also, Kiss, Gene Simmons is the one responsible for giving Van Halen their first shot. And I love Van Halen. That's one of my favorite bands. And they probably wouldn't have been the band they were without having been given a shot by Gene Simmons from Kiss. Interesting. Let's take a quick break, and then I have a couple questions for you. I'm going to put you to work. I'm going to ask you some questions and make you work a little.
Great.
We'll be right back, people. And we're back, everybody. Speaking a little Norwegian with Bill Troiani in the break here.
Ikke sant.
Ikke sant. Listen, Bill.
Yeah.
What do you want people, any artist who puts out their art, I think there is an element of selfishness in it. We're doing it to please ourselves to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
But we also hope that it has an effect on the world that observes our art, that takes in our art. What do you want people to take in with this latest album?
Well, you just said it yourself. When I'm writing, making songs, I try and do the best I can for my taste.
Yeah.
I want it to represent the best I can do. And then I hope that someone likes it.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. There's no hocus pocus to it. And
I'm not trying to change people's minds or anything.
No, but that would be a political speech.
I have some political song. There's a very political song on the new album.
Yeah. So what's the purpose then of putting a political song on an
Satire.
album? Satire. Not to change anyone's mind, but satire for the sake of satire.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. But so far, not that many people have picked up what that song's about. You probably will.
I think I'm gonna go back and listen again, and then I'm gonna try and start some trouble on social media. We'll see what kind of trouble I can get you in.
Just remember when the pandemic was really taking off, And someone said to Trump, 200,000 people have died from COVID. And what did Trump say? It is what it is.
It is what it is. I'll never forget that.
That's the title of the song.
Of all things for a president to not, we don't want to go back on it. Yeah. But I will.
I'll start crying.
Oh, God. Oof. We'll be hugging each other and crying. Switch out the coffee to whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
So you're looking to not to please yourself, but to fulfill.
To do the best I can.
Yeah, to do the best you can. And then after that, come what may. You hope people love it. You want them to. But it's kind of mission accomplished by the time you release it. Am I right?
Yes and no. I mean, yes. But I mean, the first CD we made in Norway, under my name, we got the first review we got was this kind of music needs a very special band and a very special singer. Unfortunately, they have neither. That's the first review. My heart sank like a rock.
Thank you.
Yeah. They got better after that, but you're putting it's like standing naked in front of the audience.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there, and
very much.
You don't want to look ridiculous.
No. But there's a certain amount of self-assuredness. I mean, you can't be that insecure when you've put your work out there for people to hear. So you're standing out there naked, but there's a part of you, at least a part of you, that's okay with that nakedness because you put it out.
Let's just say we're different people.
Picture me naked. Picture Bill naked. No. Oh, that's a different.
That's not what I meant.
It's a whole different conversation. Okay. Let me ask you this: as we come close to the end of this wonderful conversation, we were saying in the break that it seems like we've only been talking a few minutes. Yeah. But you're going to come back. I hope. You're always welcome here. Now you know where I live. We don't even have to do a show. If you're ever in the area, man, come on in. And coffee's always warm here.
And vice versa.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know where you live though.
I stay mostly at Ellen's house, which is out in Brotli, right past Rian Cross.
Okay, yeah, out in the sticks.
No, it's not really.
Not really. No.
It's near Jacobs.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, let me ask you this. Some things get edited, some things stay in. Let me ask you, where can people go to stay in touch with you and
mostly
get information about what you're doing? You have a website?
It's all on Facebook these days. We have a website, but Facebook is the Billy T Band.
The Billy T Band.
There's a whole page there, and I work with my friend Bill Booth in a band called The Bills, another original name. But we just put a record out.
Yeah.
We did it right before the pandemic hit, and it seems like yesterday because we haven't had a chance to promote it or anything.
Yeah. But I tell you
that's also on Facebook.
That COVID shutdown just ruined a lot when it came to promoting the work that was done immediately before. A lot of people just had bad timing.
Yeah.
But people can keep up with you on Facebook, the Billy T Band.
Yeah. The Bills.
The Bills. The Buffalo Bills? No.
Oh.
Wrong side of New York.
The $3 bills.
The $3 bills. Now that's a good name for a band. The $3 bills.
Remember when they had $2 bills?
Yes.
Oh, you're too
yes,
young,
I do.
maybe.
No, I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. My grandmother gave me one once. Yeah. Kept that thing for years. Yeah. I may still have it, actually. I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things now. I'm going to put you to work. The first one is real easy, I think. But everyone else struggles with it. Okay? I'm going to say 3 words, and I want you to complete the sentence. Now, if that sentence turns into a paragraph, so be it. But let's just see what happens.
All the games.
Okay? Three words.
Right.
Bill Troiani is?
A bass player. A father. A raconteur. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
I don't know. A person. An old person.
72.
72, baby. Everyone still feels like they're 20 in their minds,
I think so. We're having a class reunion for my high school class here in a couple of days, and there's so many comments.
In Norway?
No, back home in the States. And there's so many comments in the group page on Facebook where people are just kind of like, oh my gosh, we're 53. Oh God, it's been so. I don't feel that. I mean, I'm 53. They tell me I am. I don't know. I don't remember when I was born. Okay, they say I'm 53, but what does that mean? I feel pretty doggone good. I feel very good.
I feel good too.
I'm in the best creative moment in my life.
Me too.
You as well, and you're 72. What is this thing with age?
Yeah.
What is this thing with?
We're not going to live forever.
No.
There's that, looming over our heads. But I mean, I'm working mostly with guys who are like sometimes half my age.
Yeah.
They're in their 40s, maybe 50s. And keeps me on my toes. When I'm talking to them, I don't feel like I'm 72 years old. I remember I can remember when I realized that getting older doesn't necessarily bring wisdom.
That's true.
You don't necessarily get wiser as you get older. You have to work at that. You have to pay attention.
Yeah.
You have to keep engaged in what's going on.
That's right.
Politics, love.
Well, I can say something about that on the other end. As a younger guy, I'm seeing that over the last 5 years or so, I've been getting more and more friends who are your age. And I'm trying to figure out, I've been actually putting some thought into that. Why is that? Before, I used to be friends with, and the people I met were my age or slightly younger. And now, all of a sudden, I've jumped up 15, 20 years. There's people like you. Lasse Hofreger is 65, 6, 7, something like that. My friend Øystein is coming up close to 70. Øystein Remy.
I had to get my booster shot a couple weeks ago, and I went in and I was looking around, surrounded by old people.
Yeah.
But then I realized it. I'll meet someone's father or someone's grandfather, and they may be younger than me, but I still feel I have to show respect, like a younger person would.
But see, I think that's a testament to you not being confined by those numbers, that 7 and 2 that says you're 72. A lot of people take those numbers and they use it to confine them. They use it almost as an excuse to stop developing.
Lately I've been using it as an excuse to not have to pick up the amplifiers.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And my friends, these guys I work with, let me get that for you. Just the other day I finished a gig and I had to carry my amplifier to the garage. And this guy named I can't pronounce it right, Orjan, and a really nice guy drummer. Yeah, a really nice guy drummer. He carried it down to the car for me.
I love it.
I didn't say no.
I love it. I got to stop working out before I can use that as an excuse. I can't carry. Okay, moving along. One more thing I would like to ask of you. Now I'm going to get a little mushy on you, but this is the truth, okay? I invite people on my program because I think that I can learn something from them. I invite people who interest me, people who make me curious, people who have done works that I respect, and I want to know more about the person. So you fit all of those things. That's why you're here. You're one of many people that I've been fortunate enough to be in this position where I can ask them to be on my program. So many of those people go on to not just be a former guest, but they go on to be friends, people who I can call up on the phone and just say, hey, how's it going? Touch base with them. That's you, I
hope so.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm humbled that you came here. Okay, so you inspire me. You motivate me. Is there something you can say into this microphone right now that my viewers and listeners can take with them for inspiration, motivation as they're moving through this thing we call life?
Now you're going to just hand me a straight line, I would say...
I forgot you from me.
Say, if you start drinking whiskey, stick with the whiskey. Don't mix your drinks, people. Norway, that's because it's so expensive, Never, okay, what would I say? I have no idea. I mean, I was humbled that you asked me to come here to be interviewed. It doesn't happen every day.
Maybe not, but I think that the more people who learn about, not just the more people who learn about your current album that's coming out, but people who learn about your career, what you've gone through to get here, that's going to be... I
would say it's important to admit when you're wrong. It's important to admit when you make a mistake. Don't keep going around pretending it didn't happen or try and cover yourself up, It's important. It's important with your kids. When the kids are growing up, if you make a mistake, if you get angry and you shouldn't have, you tell them, Yeah. It's important with your musician friends, oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Take criticism. I met a guy one time. I was working with Larry Gatlin, the guy from the Gatlin Brothers, doing a 6-week thing with a play in Pittsburgh. And the piano player was this really nice, soft-spoken guy. I don't know, southern gentleman, you know.
Yeah.
And I was very excited at one point, and I was telling him, we can do this, and maybe we should do this and this section of that. And he listened to me very intently, and he took it all in, and then slowly and very quietly showed me exactly where I was wrong. In such a way that I didn't even realize he was doing it. You know, he was beautiful. But you have to be able to take criticism. You have to know when you make a mistake, if you're wrong, and admit it.
If you're bullheaded and you refuse to acknowledge your mistakes, well, you're losing out on a lot of learning and a lot of personal development.
And friendships.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And friendships, yeah. Friendships can be lost. Ugh. That's a positive note, though. Let's not. I don't want people to take that as something that's. I mean, that's a very positive note.
That's the only way that's how you learn.
Absolutely.
You learn from your mistakes. It's fundamental. It's elementary.
And that learning thing is what we're all about on this program. I learned something from everybody that I have sit on that sofa and speak into that microphone. Bill, thank you for coming in here. As I stretch for a handshake.
Thank you, John.
I call you friend.
Please.
I call you brother.
Please.
I'm looking forward to this album release. Tell people when is the release and where's the release party?
We're going to do the 23rd of September at Herr Nielsen in Oslo.
Great venue, by the way.
Yeah, very nice. Nice people, nice sound. Good soundmen, which is very important. And,
what time?
I don't know. It's probably 8 or 9 o'clock. It's something for the U.S.A Blues Club.
How long are you guys going to keep things running? Is there a time limit? Or are you guys going to just keep on partying till
we drop?
Till you drop. How can people buy tickets? Is there...
you can probably buy tickets. The people who helped with a Kickstarter campaign get in for free.
Okay.
They're all on the guest list. And if you come, you would be on the guest list too.
Put me on that guest list,
and
if you would, please.
I'm sure they're selling tickets.
You probably have, I don't know if it's you who runs your Facebook page personally, but if you have somebody run that page, they probably have put some sort of event up there. Yeah. So go to the Billy T Band on Facebook, everybody, and it'll probably be somewhere at the top of the page. You'll see, I'm just assuming that
sure. Yeah. Hawkins does that, the guitar player.
Okay, yeah.
But there are other bands called the Billy T Band. There's at least 2 or 3. There's one in Australia, and there's it's just a few, but you'll see my picture.
And that's important. I had a problem with another artist that goes by John Allen, and it's some very strange. There are some pieces of music there, but a lot of it is just, it sounds like computer sounds. Mm-hmm. Not even techno. I mean, there's no musicality to it. It's just sounds. And he goes by the name of John Allen. So I don't think about it so much anymore. But when I first started out with putting my music up, I had to tell people, just look at the picture. I'm the black guy.
J-A-R, jar. Aren't Marines called jarheads?
Jarheads, yes, absolutely. But as you noticed, I don't use my last name. No. I just go by John Allen because the Norwegians can't pronounce it. They would call me Jon Allan Reza. And I'm like, this is too difficult. I mean, that's fine to pronounce it that way, but that's not my name. So for artist purposes, I drop my last name, Reese, and just go by John Allen. And now they kind of get it that it's an American pronunciation.
I'm William.
William.
Yeah, William, but I say Bill, Billy. I don't care.
So get out there, everybody, if you can. I don't know if there's tickets available, but go on the event on the Billy T Band on Facebook, see if there's availability, and we'll see you there on the 23rd at whatever time it is, roughly 8 o'clock p.m. or something like that. I highly recommend this album. I'm fortunate that I got to hear it already. I'm going to let the secret out. This is a great album, so check it out, everybody. Bill,
thank you, John.
Thanks again.
John Allen.
John Allen. Jon Allan Reza with William Troiani.
Well, no.
How would they say that?
William Roger Blomgren Jr.
There you go. Well, that's a mouthful. All right. Thanks a lot, Bill. Bye, everybody.